Before we get into it, if you enjoyed these videos, please hit the like and subscribe button, and keep in mind that these are my own thoughts, opinions, and ideas. These are not meant to be, nor should you take them as, investment or trading advice in any way, shape, or form. Do your own due diligence, put in the work for yourself, and make your decisions based on that.
All right, folks, here we are on Saturday, February 22nd. We're going to take a look at SoFi today. So SoFi is getting back on my radar for a few reasons. Obviously, it's been a little dippy lately. I jumped out a few weeks ago. I can't recall exactly what point it was at, but we're getting some bearish crossovers on the EMAs, so I hopped out for the time being and said, I'll sort of recalibrate and look for a new entry point and go from there. Something that sort of stood out to me after Friday's action was there's potentially this uptrend support that's getting put in. This will completely depend on what gets put in next week, right? I wasn't actually first looking at this at all. What I was looking at was sort of wondering whether it will come down to this level for sort of a double bottom here and might move off of that and come back to maybe fill this gap that was left when it dropped over 10% on this day. That's only been partially filled. And the other thing that I thought was, obviously that's near that 1422 buy zone that we have, or support zone, I should say. The other possibility would be if it came down toward this 1325, there's this bottom here. The low this day was 1360. So does it come up, make a run toward, mid 18s, peel back pretty hard, have sort of a, not a dead cat bounce, but sort of a I'm not done pulling back bounce, and then take a bit of a deeper dive, because you see, previously it got bought up in this range, and it took sort of a similar, it doesn't look exactly the same, but a similar sort of path, right? It got up to highs that it hadn't been at for quite some time, into the 15s and 16s, and approached to 17, peeled back, had another sort of mini attempt, and then peeled back a lot harder, back down into that same buy range, right? That mid 13, 1350 up to like 1375 buy range that it seems to have going for itself at the moment. Could it come down into that range? And then, so this would serve as sort of, at that point, we could say a double bottom, maybe you could say a triple. To me, it would look more like a double bottom, indicating here, this to me is not really a bottom of what? It was on the rise there. It was more of a consolidation zone, right? But that would make sense that consolidation zone then turns into still strong buy volume in that range, and folks looking to scoop up sort of on sale shares, and giving the potential for a double bottom there. So I'm kind of less intrigued by the uptrend support, or at least less convinced by it at the moment, because like I said, it's wildly going to depend on whether it respects that next week. I just happened to notice it when I pulled it up, but like I say, I pulled it up mostly interested. This could be a double bottom, or more interesting to me, because I'm not in it at the moment, if there is another dip into this buy zone here in the mid to sort of upper 13s. That to me could get quite interesting. And if we do, we have this, if it does dip a little further, we have 1325 down there. And if we need to, we can come in and put some levels further to the downside. But if it can get some boost back, 1584, 1745, and then 1866 would put it at a higher swing high than here, and would sort of potentially unlock the door to ultimately an approach toward 20, right? That 1936 is what we have on the chart at the moment, but really that then gets, $20 energy in my opinion, and folks would be really mostly looking at 20. And I don't know if that 1936 would maybe just get a little bit sticky, or if it would just, kind of be like 19, see ya, we're looking for 20 here, and then things get really sort of challenging around 20. I could certainly see that being the case. EMAs wise, bearish crossover happening again at the moment. So, could this 183 continue to come up? That 1360 get sort of within range? Yeah, maybe. But right now, it's lost the EMAs. It's pushing today. It pushed off of that sort of cluster of EMAs. It's not really distinctly the 821 or 34 at the moment. They're all kind of laying on top of each other. You see dot, 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 right? But yeah, so unless it has like a quick recovery like we saw back here, but this was such sort of a lackadaisical bullish crossover here that wasn't even like this one, right? They had real oomph and momentum behind it. This was really just sort of like a kind of let the air out of the balloon kind of thing. So no wonder it's fizzling pretty easily there. We zoom out and we sort of grasp the $10 level and up. It's sitting below at the moment this pretty large shelf here in the 15s, and below this pretty large shelf sort of in the high 14s, approach to 15. So it gets pretty thin through here. So again, does it have dipability through there? Yeah, there's going to be some shelves that come back. Yeah, it persists to be pretty thin through there. I mean, if you kind of take this range, you get a little bit here, but that only looks nice because it's so ruggedly thin through here. But yeah, this would be looking at pressing toward 10s. I don't know that happens. This could look, in the zoom out of things, we look back at this in a year or something, this could look like a really nice consolidation period, and then sort of resume the run. That's my hope if it comes down and does double bottom here, and I'm able to get back in. That's what I'm looking for. Obviously, I'm looking for it to ultimately end up looking like a really nice consolidation zone, and then resume the zoom. But who knows? Just because I want it to be certainly doesn't mean that it'll have to be. A little less than half of shares profitable as of close on Thursday. So maybe a lot of potential there for folks to come in and dollar cost average down still if they do start to feel like there's some potential for things to get bullish again. That might open up a good opportunity. A lot of large scale orders coming out. Those are heavy earlier in the week. And obviously, if that's going to persist, that's going to put a lot of pressure on old SoFi. Short interest not seemingly like it's booming at the moment, and of course if it's peeling down, then it might not attract the interest of those short sellers for the time being. But this one, yeah, it's a bit rough, so we'll see if that sort of shifts gears at some point here. Now let's pull these back in and we'll take a look at the think or swim side of things, and we'll call it a video. We had this trigger and fire back here, and that set off this run. If you had bought when it fired, you would have bought here around 14, and you could have rode that up just a few trading days, a couple weeks or so, to 18. So 14 to 18, pretty good percentage gain if you had a short-term hold there. And for the time being, as it's falling now, nothing new triggering on the TTM squeeze indicator, but it is falling below the put trigger. Last time that happened, it got bought up pretty quickly. That's that 13. Is it that 1360 we're looking at? No, that's that 1440-ish level that we were looking at, is this guy here. And so last time, yeah, it dipped below that put trigger, which is at 1507. It's falling back below here now. If it does, again, get really busty, 1278 is the -1 ATR level. So I don't know that if it would get all the way down there, but just as a note, that's where it is. If it does have, for some reason, like some great recovery, call trigger 1649 plus 1 to 1878, right? So 1878 puts it at a higher swing high here, gets it through this 1866, and then, like I said, I think all eyes at that point are on 20. If it kind of can't get any of that done this month, which seems like the most likely scenario to me, for the time being at least, for March, we have a call trigger at 1537, a +1 up to 1764. We have a put trigger down at 1397 with a -1 down to 1170. But maybe if it gets sort of consolidated here, or sort of like gets to a double bottom area and kind of starts to recover, maybe we get a new trigger on the TTM squeeze indicator. It doesn't have to have a trigger and fire in the TTM squeeze indicator to make that happen. This all happened, right, without a trigger and fire. I can't give credit to this trigger and fire back here for this move over here. So it certainly isn't like a necessity or anything. So I don't feel fixated on that. I would be more interested to see, like I say, double bottom, less interested on the uptrend support potential, but maybe. yeah, double bottom in that range, and then maybe expressing some of these +1 or -1 ATRs, that could be interesting for sure. All right, folks, so I hope that you have a nice weekend, and as always, I appreciate you watching, and I will see you in the next video.